Hello from North Carolina. This is our 25th live session. Our plan is to go live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for the most part, to share fashion industry news from the previous week. If you are team replay or team live, let us know if you are joining us live or if you're catching the replay by leaving a comment below and letting us know where you are joining from. So that is my cue to switch up our banner here. And again, one of these days, I'm going to be able to do that a little bit more seamlessly. And I am going to pull up some comments just in case people are joining us live. I can pull up the comments onto the screen here. But my name is Rosalinda Cruz. I am the founder and Chief Business Development Officer of the ASOR Collective, where we help underrepresented leaders in fashion with strategic planning and advising. Our mission is to create a more diverse and inclusive, sustainable fashion industry by filling the leadership and ownership gaps in the apparel supply chain. So, there we go. Another alarm there. On these lives, I try to reconcile my love of fashion and retail with my values around sustainability, diversity, and inclusion. And I advocate for supply chain while raising buyer awareness. So my goal is really to get out of the silo effect and work across sectors in the fashion industry to create solution-based conversation versus hair-splitting debate. So that is that. In our time together, I'm going to switch this up here. Little rusty, guys, little rusty. But so in our time together, I try to cover I do announcements and planning PSAs, North Carolina news, industry news, product services, workforce, and then the green carpet, where I talk about brands, concepts, and processes that are being called to the proverbial carpet. So I was going to say something else here. Oh, we're still trying to get to 100 subscribers. We are slowly getting there, but if you can help us reach our goal by going to our YouTube channel and hitting the subscribe button, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So let's get into it. I'm going to take a sip of my water here. So this time I remember to bring it. And I am back. All right. So announcements. Announcements. Oh, we are actually halfway through the second quarter. So you guys know that I'm always talking about my ideal planning cadence, but if you are following that planning cadence, this is when you should be focusing on refining your Q3 strategy, which starts in July, runs July, August, and September. And really at this time, what you should be doing is, again, refining your strategy. If you had done all of the planning cadence, you won't be starting from scratch, but really you will have had your reflections from the previous year, what worked and what didn't work. And when you were laying out your plan for 2022, that's when you really started doing some of the groundwork regarding the planning for the third quarter. So third quarter is when the spring 2023 market happens. September is arguably the largest month in fashion, aside from Black Friday, Cyber Monday week. So it is a really important time in the industry. It's the kickoff of the fall season, so you want to make sure that you are doing all you can do now to be prepared for when that time comes. So that is that as far as announcements and planning PSAs go. I didn't really have any North Carolina news. And to the next one here. Industry news. So on the last week we had some technical issues, so we didn't go live last week. But the previous week, I had given a recap of some of the things that we had talked about during our last executive roundtable with our core group. And one of the things that we had talked about was actually the Fabric Act. So the Fabric Act is a new bill that will soon be introduced to Congress by Senator Kristen Gillibrand, who's a Democrat from New York. Fabric stands for Fashion, Accountability, and Building Real Institutional Change. So the Fabric Act proposes major incentives to accelerate domestic apparel manufacturing and new workplace protections to cement us as global leaders in responsible apparel production. So some of the key elements of the Fabric Act include a $40 million grant program to ramp up Made in America production, with funding available for workforce development, capital investments such as machinery upgrades, and nonprofits can access the program as well. Another one is a 30% reshoring tax credit. Also establishing hourly pay in the garment industry until minimum wage is met. As well as productivity bonuses that are protected to ensure jobs with dignity. So, and then just a couple of more points that I want to call out here. But there'll be new liability requirements, which hold fashion brands jointly responsible for wage violations alongside manufacturing partners. And then lastly, the establishment of nationwide garment industry registry just to promote transparency. So that is super, super exciting. Product news, yeah, nothing there. I feel like this was a fairly quiet week in news, and I also didn't spend a lot of time on my in my emails or on social media, so maybe that's why this week feels a little light. All right, so product news. Let's switch over here. Workforce. So again, not last week because we took a break due to technical issues last week, but the week before, I had talked about the BOF article on Where Are Fashion's Black CEOs. So the good news is that last week, Ibrahim Karama is going to be joining Off-White as the art and image director. So he is a celebrated fashion director and stylist who's currently the editor-in-chief of Days Magazine, but he is going to be joining a group of creatives overseeing the artistic direction of Off-White. And that was information that was received last week. And Off-White has been without a creative director since the death of Virgil Abloh in November. So we're happy to see that position being filled. And we are on to the green carpet. So I'm going to take another swig of my water here. So, the green carpet. The green carpet is really where I talk about brands, concepts, and processes that are being called to the proverbial carpet. So, I just want to skip to it, right? So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, this is always really troubling for me, but addiction-based shopping versus shopping for joy, or conscious consumerism, which is essentially where you're buying based on your values, quality, and knowing it will last. And that's just like a super, super basic explanation of conscious consumption. But I've been in the industry since I was 15 years old. I I'm not sure when I fell in love with fashion and retail, but at some point I did, right? I love its scrappy and tenacious nature. I love kind of being in the trenches. I love its ability to bring people together. But more importantly, I love the transformation that takes place, right? It provides an escape. And people really shop for all sorts of reasons, right? They shop to escape a stressful day, body image issues, self-esteem issues. They shop to socialize and bond with friends and family. And shopping can be a very emotional, right? It's an escape, and it's also so much more than that. And one of the things that really frustrates me is seeing a lot more of this addiction-based shopping. And I have actually, done a lot of that in my life, where I was, probably spending just as much of my paycheck on, product in the store that I was working at as I was, taking home. So we all know that the fashion industry has a waste problem. There's a long list of changes that need to be made, but this is really where I'm seeing the greatest problem, right? Is with fast fashion and that kind of addiction based shopping that I see. I read an article in Wired magazine yesterday that somebody had shared on LinkedIn, and I was just at a loss for words, right? So a couple of the things that we know about Shein is that the company is valued at $100 billion. So that's higher than the combined worth of fast fashion's H&M and Zara combined. So every single day, Shein updates its websites with more than 6,000 new styles, which obviously is pretty outrageous, even in the fast fashion world. So they have also really like gamified their app with lots of flashing banners and that sort of thing. Almost, I feel like it almost acts as a slot machine in casinos, which again is promoting more of that addiction based shopping. But they're targeting teens and young adults. Their prices are, I mentioned in this article, it's like $2.50 for a dress, $4.50 for a sweater. And I just, knowing what I know that goes into creating product, I can't imagine how this is actually being done in a way that is ethical, that is honoring the workers who are creating this product. Um, but also, the other thing that not a lot of people realize about Shein, especially because they are targeting teens and young adults, is that there's a lack of regulations that are happening there. So I know that, again, in this article, they referred to a couple of lawsuits that were happening. One that's coming from Canada. There was lead that was found, high levels of lead. There shouldn't be any lead in apparel, but there were high levels of lead found in, I believe, a coat, baby clothes, which, according to regulation, is supposed to be fire retardant, isn't fire retardant. And they are actually the most talked about brand on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So they have a huge, huge reach. And they aren't just selling clothes, right? They're selling bath bombs, which again, the beauty industry is something that is highly regulated, but Shein is not, right? And they don't. I don't want to. I know that I've spent a lot of time talking about Shein because of this article, but they aren't the only brands who are creating these problems. You have Boho, which is a UK based fashion company, and then you also have Fashion Over here in the US. And I guess like my struggle with this is that people know that I am super passionate about sustainability, and I try to respect people's choices that they make in their lives, and try to educate them in the best way possible, in a way that doesn't make them feel shame. But if this, I feel like, is an area where I have really struggled, right? And helping people understand the impact of fast fashion. Um, and yeah, so I'm really curious to hear, what people's relationship is, right? With fast fashion, with themselves, with the people in their lives. How do you have conversations around this? And I also, part of the reason that I struggle with having these conversations is because, one, I feel like sometimes, when it comes to change, right, the burden for change is unnecessarily placed on consumers, where I think that most of that, change needs to be owned by the companies. But when you have companies, that are working in these like exploitative ways, it's hard to hold them accountable. So, which also more reason for that Fabric Act to be passed. So I know that my journey to sustainability has been a long one, right? And I'm still I'm still on it, right? I have recently started to take a deep look at what my purchasing patterns have been. I have definitely slowed down, really moved a lot of my buying from new product to secondhand product, through thrifting or places like Poshmark, um, which I really love. And I have also recently started mending a lot of my clothes, right? And I'm constantly evaluating what's in my wardrobe, and if it's something that I really need. So I feel like the biggest change that I've made is that I don't shop for sport anymore, unless I'm thrifting, because I like hunting for goodies. But most of the time when I do go thrifting, I go with an idea in mind, or an item that I'm trying to replace. So, but some of the questions that I've been able to ask myself to slow down my purchasing, or be a little bit more thoughtful about it is, one, do I already own something like this? How often am I going to wear it? How long is it going to last? Or can I borrow it from a friend? So I'm curious, is your shopping addiction based or for joy? Please share in the comments. And that is it for this week's episode. So again, please look out for more information about the Fabric Act. Also, I'm going to be releasing a newsletter. Um, Refine your Q3 planning strategy. And please, if you have any planning needs, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Our mission, again, is to support a more diverse and inclusive sustainable fashion industry by filling in the leadership and ownership gaps. Our plan is to go live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we hope to see you next week. So thank you so much and have a wonderful week. Bye.